The storm has now arrived.
Good afternoon to you. Earlier on today, apparently a woman rang the BBC and said she heard that there was a hurricane on the way. Well, if you're watching, don't worry, there isn't. But having said that, actually, the weather would become very windy. But most of the strong winds, incidentally, will be down over Spain and across into France as well. But there's a vicious-looking area of low pressure on our doorstep, nevertheless. That is going to head across the southeastern corner of the country, bringing nothing else, a lot of rain with it. On the satellite picture, we see that there's, of course, a lot of cloud as well as a lot of rain stretching right across Europe. Indeed, most areas there are just as unsettled as we are, having some outbreaks of rain. That's the way the rainfall pattern is looking at the moment. A lot of shading, a lot of rain across many parts of Europe. Let's zoom in a little bit closer and have a look at the British scene now. And as you can see, rain is now pushing up towards southern counties. There's a fair bit of rain still further north left over from last night's weather system. Now, as I run the sequence, you can see just how quickly the rain comes up from France, affects many southern and eastern areas, and then eventually later on tonight clears on out. And leaves us tomorrow in a fairly stiff run of westerly winds, bringing along quite a few showers. Well, I had a peek at the radar just before I came down a short while ago, and it looked as if rain wasn't very far away from the London area, but certainly some outbreaks of rain coming nicely now into many southern counties of England. Midland areas of Wales are a little bit brighter and drier, just one or two showers about. Northern England, Northern Ireland and Scotland, though, a fair amount of cloud. And again, there are some outbreaks of rain, and some of the rain fairly heavy, although it's beginning to ease off and turn showery now over Northern Ireland. Now, as time goes on, the rain in the north will edge up into northern parts of Scotland, tend to brighten up a little bit and dry up in the more northern areas there of England. But the rain further south really setting in as time goes on for East Anglia, many southern parts of England, the afternoon ending up very wet and quite cool too, 12 or 13 Celsius, only the mid-50s Fahrenheit. Now, to begin with this evening, a lot of wet weather around in many eastern and southern parts of the country. Fairly heavy rain in that, still some quite heavy rain in that northern part of Scotland as well. But the rain in the north of Scotland will clear away, and the rain in the south as well, except that is, I think, in those eastern counties where it will last into the morning. And as it clears away, the clouds should break, but it will leave behind just one or two showers. Becoming quite windy, you're going to notice it around these southern and southeastern parts as the evening night goes on. A reasonably cool night as well. Now there's the picture for tomorrow. Stiff westerly winds, and that means to say that once the rain clears from the east, it's a mixture of sunshine and showers for us all, and rather cool with it.
Well, if you heard the video clearly, I couldn't have it up too loud, but yes, that was the famous Michael Fish weather forecast exactly 30 years ago. We know, sadly, 18 people have lost their lives from the storm. We know ever since then the forecasters have been improving all the time. We still can't get them right, but you know, hopefully advanced supercomputers technology style, hopefully in the future, you know, we can get even more accurate weather forecasters. But if you not heard much about the Great Storm of 1987, it's exactly 30 years today. I'll discuss a little bit about the storm, and you'll find out how many trees were blown down during that storm, so we'll find out. Right, so the memories of the Great Storm, we know today has marked 30 years. I mean, I wasn't around that time, I'm 20 years old right now. But certainly it can be a remarkable anniversary for all the wrong reasons. We know it was the worst storm in the UK for almost 300 years. 18 people lost their lives and many others were injured, with the most damage caused in southern England. The storm has uprooted millions of trees, it ripped roofs off buildings and destroyed cars. Electricity lines went down, leaving thousands of homes without power for days or even weeks. So this was some photos and some memories of that day, taken exactly 30 years ago. Stephen took this picture in Brighton the day after the storm, so it clearly is quite huge damage. So he was in Brighton and he captured some photos the day after. The most dramatic sight was the American Express building, locally known as the Wedding Cake. Due to its distinctive design, its copper roof had been torn and rolled aside so that it looked rather like an opened tin of sardinus. On arrival at the office, I wasn't surprised to be sent home, so I grabbed my camera and made my way down to the Old Send, the broad open space at the heart of Brighton that leads past Pavilion down to the Palace Pier. I expected some fallen trees, but not the scene of devastation that confronted me. Everywhere, the great trees, oaks, elms, and beeches that was such a feature of the beautiful place lay prostrate amid the wreckage of cars, buildings, and signs. On one tree, some wag had propped an estate agent under offer sign. The saddest sight in the pavilion was a fallen tree surrounded by dozens of dead starlings. The poor little birds must have been roosting in the tree when it fell and had been crushed or sinned. When my prince came back from the chemist, no digital cameras in those days, I showed them to my friends. "Ah," said one, "it's all very well to have taken pictures the day after the storm, but who took pictures to show what it looked like the day before?" John Peedman was working as a milkman in Bognor in Raids. The morning of the storm, I was awoken at around 5 in the morning by our roof tiles rattling in the wind. Oh gosh, it's a bit blowy this morning. Anyway, goes to the garage, gets my bike out and sets off for the depot. I got to the end of the road and promptly got blown off my bike. There was a large 30 to 40 foot pine tree blocking the A29 Chichester Road and roof tiles on the ground. I reached work and we decided that perhaps the guys heading south towards Pelpham should go in a convoy, so all 3 vans, me included, headed out. All went well until we reached the bridge over the railway where the 2 vans in front of me lost all their bread trays on the back of their vans. We soldiered on reaching the perimeter of the holiday camp. I reached the start of my round and battled on with no street lighting, and then it was light. I was able to take in the utter devastation caused by the storm. I carried on my deliveries, talking to my customers and checking the older ones, and the older ones were alright, and just trying to help and reassure people that the worst had passed. So then later that week, there was a letter in a local paper from one of my elderly customers saying that she was alone, no power, no lights, a hurricane blowing outside, tiles coming off her roof, thinking the end of the world was coming, then looking out her window, sees the light, and there is a milkman on time and delivering as usual, as if nothing were happening out of the ordinary. She then thought maybe things were not as bad as she feared. In thought maybe she not have been allowed to even leave the depot that morning, but we did, and luckily no one got hurt, and people were glad to see something normal going on that morning. So O.J. Upfer took this photo of Scott Newcastle in Kent. It had previously been a woodland walk. Chris Columbus tells the story of a dinner jacket tyre change. My memories of the great storm start from that moment. I stepped outside the Royal Albert Hall around midnight. I was with a party of friends watching the UK Amateur Ballroom Dancing Championships, and I recall commenting on the severity of the wind, believing there was a circular stage of the building that was focusing the wind strength. We were heading back to Bournemouth on the south coast, but didn't realise we were driving straight into the teeth of the storm. Our journey was hilarious to say the least. Keeping the car in a straight line on the motorway was a challenge. By the time we reached the edge of the New Forest where the M27 joins the A31, the road was blocked by enormous trees that were lying like matchsticks across the carriageway. We had to do a U-turn and driven the wrong way back to Cadnam and then drive to get home via the country lanes around Lyndhurst and Burley. By some miracle, we negotiated our way around fallen branches and power lines and got within a few miles of home before disaster struck. After we suffered a puncture driving over debris in the road, calling the breakdown services was out of the question, so wearing just my dinner jacket, I braved the torrential rain and replaced the tyre before arriving home around 5 in the morning. I woke later that morning to discover the true extent of devastation that the hurricane had brought to the south coast. Good for you, and that's not an easy thing to do. Belcombe had house damage and was out of the house for a fortnight. So this was another photo taken. I was at work all night shift, bringing one of the reactors back on load that day. My wife rang in and said that the Wendy house was blowing around, so I said to just drag it behind the fence. As I put the phone down, we received some grid alarms to the effect that the lines were clashing. That's the first idea I had that a storm was coming. The bridge from the control block to the reactor building was swinging around. I rang my wife back and told her to go outside, not to go outside, but she'd already been, using a dustbin lid protection. The Wendy house survived the storm, which is more than can be said for the real house. The wind speed meter was already 100 miles per hour and peaked around 130. It took a while to get home as trees were across the road. Our house had the roof whipped back in two, which cracked the walls above the upstairs windows. All the tiles had to come off and the roof pulled upright, and then the walls rebuilt. With some reinforcement, we were out the house for a fortnight. We got the reactor back on load, okay? Nick Moore captures the scene on Lady Smile, South Sea Common, and that is pretty intense. Now finally, Barbara had no photos, but did have a tale to tell. I had just bought a new flat in Bromley, southeast London, my first property. I didn't sleep at all during the night of the storm as it was so noisy. In the morning there were no trains to London because all the trees which had fallen on the track. My father offered me to drive me, and it took many hours to get to central London, avoiding all the branches and other debris. When I finally arrived at my office, there was an urgent message telling me to return home immediately because water was leaking from my new flat into the garage underneath. Not a good day. That storm has just caused huge chaos all across the UK, and some stories are absolutely quite remarkable regarding the severity of the storm. So, to all those of you still alive, I don't know how old you were around that time, but if you're ever watching this, in case you may have seen this 30-year anniversary of the Great Storm of 1987 video, if you're watching this, really well done, guys. That's not an easy thing to do, and yeah, absolute. What can I say? There are some miraculous stories, so that's all I can say. Sorry, I'm a bit speechless with that. I'm really impressed. All right, now we're gonna watch this special video, 30-year anniversary of the Great Storm of October 1987. So let's play. That storm blew down 15 million trees. So we know it hit on the southeast England, night of 16th of October. It was the worst storm to hit southern Britain, we know, since the 18th century, 1703. France was also quite badly hit, but not as badly in the UK. I don't know how you can count that many trees. Average, God. It wasn't a hurricane, believe it or not. If it was a hurricane, it would have a huge eye in the middle. And it needs to see temperature of 27 degrees or above to form and survive. Clearly, UK are nowhere near around that. It may be powerful, but yeah, it can be deadly. Now, just before I close the video, I just want to show you a few photos of Storm Ophelia turned red. So let's take a look. As we know, it's been a busy morning at BBC Weather Centre in the UK. It's the 30th anniversary of the Great Storm, which devastated parts of southern England. Storm Ophelia is bringing damaging winds to Ireland, western coast and Scotland, and to top it off, you are sending in pictures of a red sun. We've got about 4 or 5, so let's look at the first one. First one, Weather Watcher Melanie captured these birds from the red sun in Woolston, Warwickshire. And the question is, why has the sun in the sky turned red? Then another photo taken, red sun and dusky lights by Lincoln Church in Somerset. Photo taken by Weather Watcher Fright. We think the answer is a combination of smoke from the wildfires across Spain and Portugal, and also some Saharan dust drawn up on southerly winds associated with Ophelia. The dust has caused a shorter wavelength of light blue, violet, etc. to be scattered away, leaving a longer wavelength of light red, orange. Another one. John B took this photo of the dark sky and red sun in Bristol. Ophelia originated in the Atlantic when it was a hurricane as it tracked its way northwards, as dragged in tropical weather from the Sahara. Another one. The countryside in Stony Middleton, Derbyshire took on a red hue this morning thanks to Weather Sam's house for this shot. The dust gets picked up into the air and goes high up into the atmosphere, and it is now above the UK. And the last photo, presumably... Wait. Is that my photo? Weather watcher Stormwog Man 13 in Mansfield, Nottinghamshire says this is one of the most unusual pictures ever taken. My photo was shown! Woo! Well, I'm joking. I seen it earlier. But my reaction was pretty intense. I can get quite excited and a little carried away when I see something. I wasn't expecting my photo to get shown on the website today. There was like 50 photos of the red sun. So that's pretty crazy. So thank you, BBC, for showing my photo. Will it be on the news? We'll find out. It didn't get shown, but it was, at least it was on the website news earlier, so to be honest, it doesn't really matter, and I'm still very happy anyway. But in hindsight, yeah, mainly it was quite a serious thing to talk about as well, so it's a very mixed emotion video this is. So I want to give a 30-second silence to remember the 18 people who died from that terrible storm. Right, I think it's been about near 30 seconds. So, very long video tonight, but it's quite an important one, so I'll try and get... I don't know whether it's uploaded tonight or early Tuesday, so a lot to edit out tonight. Thank you very much for watching. If you want me to do any more videos for the rest of the week in terms of extreme UK weather events, global weather forecasting, or weather vlogging, comment below in the description. Same goes on the page as well. And... subscribe for more content, guys. That will be great if I can get my subscribers up. And also do check out the blood red sun moon video. I know it's not usually long, but it's worth a few. Alright, thank you for watching, guys. Wow, what a day. It's probably the most memorable day in terms weather-wise of the year. I really do. Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm off to edit. Storm's now out.